I had a very good friend of mine that committed suicide. I don't talk about this too often, but I do talk about it from time to time. I had a good friend that committed suicide. And this is way before mental health was even in the conversation. I didn't understand what was going on. He had a tough breakup, and he reached out to me for conversation about it. And and I entertained the conversation. I was with him when he met the girl, and I didn't think that it was a good matchup personally, right? I felt that she dated more street guys, and he wasn't a street guy, right? And but she gave him a shot. They dated for a time. The guy she was dating was locked up. She dated my homeboy, and it went fine for a while. He fell in love with her. She seemed to like him. Then the guy that she was dating previously came home from jail, and she stopped dating my homeboy. And so the guy coming home from jail, he had money, he had cars, he had all these things that she was used to. And then he wanted to still be with her, but she was, she was roughing it with him per se. And now she's back with the drug dealer. So my homeboy, he starts selling drugs, trying to get money. And he wasn't from this mob. Like that wasn't his lane, but he did it. And I'm telling him the whole time, like, why are you doing this? It's not working out. Like, it's not a good idea. He went away to Job Corps. He comes back and he's trying to get money. So he's back into that lifestyle, and she just does not reconnect with him. It was just like he was just something to do while her guy was locked up. And he could not handle the rejection from her. Right? He could not handle it. And he would call me, we would talk about it. And I got to the point where I was tired of talking about it. Right? She don't like you, move on. Right? That was my vibe. That was the wrong. It was wrong to say it in the way that I said it. I wanted him to move on. And I just got frustrated with the fact that he didn't see it. You don't see it. She don't like you. Leave her alone. There's other girls out here. Move on. Right? And he called me this one day, and I was running late for work, and I didn't take the time to talk to him, right? Did not take the time to talk to him. I kind of, talk to you, because I felt like he wanted to say the same thing, right? Now, he ended up killing himself after we got off the phone. And for years, that really haunted me because I felt like if I had had that conversation, maybe I could have prevented it. I don't know. I probably would not have been, because I think that my vibe would have been the same that it always had been. Like, yo, leave alone. What are you worrying about it for? Right? We deal with breakups, right? And just because I was able to handle stuff, moved on, no problem, he was not able to do it. This is mental health, but this is in the 90s, right? Mental health was not a buzzword at that time. It wasn't something that people was talking about at that time. So anyway, my friend shoots himself, kills himself. His mother finds him in the house. It was a whole terrible, horrible thing, right? And so it really gave me a different perspective. Once it took me years to get past the grief and the guilt that I was, shouldering myself, right? And it didn't cripple me, right? But it was very devastating. And I remember seeing a family member of his years later, 10 years later, 10 or 15 years later, seeing a family member of his in a store and just bursting into tears, just years later, it was still affecting me. And up until, I would probably say maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, I was able to kind of reconcile with it a little bit. He came to me in a dream, right? He came to me in a dream about 3 years ago. And we had this conversation. So I guess, this is a dream. So it's like in my subconscious or whatever. So we had this conversation, and that gave me some relief mentally. for the situation. I'm saying all that to say this. I've dealt with breakups. I've dealt with rejection. And I felt at the time that he should have been able to deal with that rejection. He should have been able to deal with that. And he couldn't. It was literally more than he could bear. And there are a lot of people who are at different varying degrees of being able to deal with stress, rejection, pressure, all of these things. So we cannot, judge folks who handle things differently than us. And I myself have struggled with being frustrated. So I had that situation. There have been other situations in my life with other people where I've been frustrated because they don't handle a situation like me. But I always have to bring myself back to my friend who committed suicide because he could not deal with the pressure of rejection. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who have had situations where people may have taken their own life or maybe tried to hurt themselves or done something because they could not deal with pressure. This is mental health. This is what we're talking about. So why talking is so important and listening to folks is so important. Very, very